Talk about poem structure. Before I talked about different components of poems like figurative language, which was similes, metaphors, hyperboles, personification, and then we have other things as well that we'll be talking about later in the year. But poems are structured differently. We talked about how nonfiction text can be structured, and now we're going to be talking about poems. There are different definitions and descriptions that I want you to know before we start our poetry unit. So poems are a piece of writing that has rhythm and it evokes emotion. That's why I'm talking about mood and tone this week, because a poem's purpose is to invoke emotion or to show emotion of the person. Now, poems are made up of lines, not sentences. Sometimes when I have a poem, the sentence is cut in half and then it goes to the other line. Because poems sometimes find a rhythm and a pattern in different ways. And sometimes they're free verse, which means there's not a specific pattern. Some poems rhyme, some poems don't. Poetry does not have to rhyme. So I want you to take note that stanzas, and I know it's small here, but I want to rewrite it. Spelled stanzas wrong. Stanzas are groups of words, groups of lines. Basically, a stanza is a paragraph in a poem. Okay? The lines are not necessarily a sentence, but it is what makes up the stanza. Okay? How the poem is organized might help you understand the poem better. Okay, how are the lines in the poem organized by stanzas? What is the main idea of each stanza? What is the main idea of each poem? So my suggestion, and I'm going to show you how to do this, is to go from stanza to stanza, just like you would paragraph by paragraph on a more difficult text, informational text, and write what you think each paragraph, stanza, in this case, means before you move on, because that will help you overall. You have to do a lot of decoding when you're doing poems. And that will help you understand. If you don't understand the poem, you cannot go in deeper to find the theme, the mood, the tone, and the overall message in the poem. So just like I would have you go into the text and read it to understand, this is what I want you to do. So we're actually going to do this poem for 2 days. So the first thing that I want you to do is, it actually has the theme on the bottom. See? We're going to go through a little bit, and then I'm going to have you finish that rest of what I'm doing, and we'll talk about the theme tomorrow. Okay? So I'm going to go paragraph by paragraph, and I am going to go stanza by stanza, write down what I think it means before I move on to the next one, because that is going to help me understand the poem better. So this band was all my idea. I'm the one that found all the members. I'm the one that picked all the music, and I'm the superstar lead singer. Okay, so right now it seems like we're actually talking about a band. Sometimes you're talking about something different, but we're talking about a band here. So I'm going to call this stanza 1. And I am going to say that the narrator, and I want you to be doing this on yours, the narrator created and runs the band, also the lead singer. I'm going to do different colors for each stanza, just so we can see the difference and it doesn't run all together. So When our drummer said his cousin May had a really awesome voice, everyone else wanted to meet her, so I really was given no choice. Do you see right here? This is a middle of a sentence. So when our drummer said his cousin May, and then it goes to the next line, had a really awesome voice. See how that's capitalized? Every stanza, regardless if it's in the middle of a sentence, has to be capitalized. That would be a poem text structure tip. So when our drummer said his cousin May had a really awesome voice, everyone else wanted to meet her, so I was really given no choice. So the narrator did not want to meet May, but everyone else did. Nope, I forgot I had tape there, so I can't write on it. I'm saying narrator because that's the person that is talking, and it doesn't have a name yet, so I'm just going to call the person the narrator. Okay. Okay, so she's coming in, she's going to audition, I think, or they want her to, and the narrator does not want, because the narrator is in charge. We had her in for an audition, and I'll admit she sang like a bird. Ooh, she sang like a bird. That is a simile. Birds sing beautiful, with the exception of crows, but we won't talk about crows. So she had to have sang very beautifully. But of course I felt a bit threatened, and inside my jealousy stirred. Ooh, this is personification right here. Jealousy is an inanimate object. It cannot stir. It cannot move. Stirred means to be mixed up. That's personification. So she auditioned. And she's good. The narrator's jealous. I bet the narrator thinks that they'll be replaced. We don't know if it's a he or a she yet. The narrator is the main singer, so she's very good. I wonder if the narrator is going to be jealous. Okay. Their plan was that she'd sing with me, but I said no. She could do something else. But once again, I was outvoted, so I kept my complaints to myself. So the band wanted her or him. She'd, her, is May, but the author is still not, we're not saying if it's a boy or a girl, wanted her to sing with the narrator. Narrator is not happy. Okay, so what I want you to do for this assignment today is, do you see how I'm going stanza by stanza? And yes, it could be a little bit easier and I don't need to write next to it. I want you to get into the habit of doing this, so when you get to a more challenging poem, you'll already know how to decode what it means. So I want you to go down the other 3 stanzas. I want you to jot down next to it, just like I did here. Do not worry about the question on the bottom. That will be for tomorrow. Take a picture of this and submit it to your assignment. I want to see how you're doing with understanding the poem. Tomorrow will be theme. Today is poetry structure.